Hey guys. Hey guys. Back to Rick Mull, host, also known as the Combat Coach. Guys, if you love it, if you use AI, about the good AI, or AI, you, my friend.
Hey, Richard, let's see. You just stopped. For some reason, you just froze. La, 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 la. Come on, computer.
There we go.
There we go.
There,
Computers are your friend. That's what I joke.
Gotta love tech. So, like I said, guys, his author, speaker, copyright expert. So we're going to be talking about the good and the bad of AI. So, Donovan, first question right out of the gate: what is your definition of resilience?
Resilience is being able to take hits and just keep getting back up. It's like you're a weeble wobble. You might fall over, but you don't stay down. You might have a tech issue and come back. Anyways, did that come through for you? Come on. La 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 la. You're frozen. Totally frozen. Can you see me? You're frozen. I'm not getting anything. Computers are your friend. Okay, let's see. Are you back?
Yep, we're back. I don't know what's going on today. The gremlins are here. They're messing with us today. So give us a quick down and dirty about where you come from, where'd you grow up, and how did you get into the crazy world of tech?
I was born in North Dakota, raised in Montana. That was the first 15 years of my life. So glad that I had that experience because it really, yeah, you learn a lot about resilience when you have to deal with, 40-degree below weather and stuff like that. And then we ended up moving down to the San Francisco Bay Area, and I got my start in tech when I got a master's degree in multimedia back in '97, right at the beginning of the internet. Then I had 3 software companies doing web application development and ended up getting into a lot of nonprofits and stuff. But what got me into AI specifically is 3 years ago, I was doing, copywriting, and all of a sudden ChatGPT came onto the scene, and I knew that this was the enemy, and wanted to do kind of a classic know your enemy so that you can, find their weaknesses, so that you can, um, understand what they're good at and what they're bad at. So because of my software and tech background, I was able to really dive in deep, and I wrote a couple books on, one was Master the Art of ChatGPT Prompting. That's my first book. And then Prompt Virtuoso, Techniques to Amplify Your Intelligence and Not Get Hacked in by AI is my second book that came out last year.
Now, obviously, I'm a big Chat GPT guy. I love Chat GPT. I use it every day, but I use it as a tool. I don't use it as a crutch. Um, I do a lot of searching through using Chat GPT. I use it more of a search tool than I
Okay.
do it. So, what are some of the upsides of using AI, and what are some of the downsides of using AI?
Okay. So, like you, I started out using ChatGPT. It's kind of the industry dominant version. I mean, let's just say AI. And since then, I've gone on to Claude, Gemini, and DeepSeek because I just want to understand the capabilities of those tools as well. So the upsides, let me actually say downsides of using AI. Number one, overestimating your expertise and ability to make a judgment call about an area of which you don't have any any understanding. So if somebody's trying to go out and copyright, but they haven't actually been a copywriter, then they'll ask ChatGPT to write copy for them, and it'll look pretty and it might read good, but the problem is, you know, in order to write good copy, you have to understand your audience. So you first of all have to give it that context. And then you also have to have a good offer. And most people have no idea how to construct those or the importance of those, and ChatGPT won't bring it up. So watch out for that because, copywriting or sales writing, writing to sell something, is the most valuable skill that any business owner can have, right? That's your job as a business owner, is to sell yourself. That's it. Nothing else. Like you might think like, I'm not a copywriter. I sell project management for copywriting, like ultimately, right? But I got to sell first. So what are the advantages? I'm going to say, I'll just give you one key advantage. You're talking to the crystallized sum of all human knowledge. So what do you want to ask? I treat this I call it a Gen AI genie. So you can make a wish, any wish you want, make really good wishes. And if you can't make the wish because you don't know how to make a really great wish, ask ChatGPT to write it out for you. Say, give me 10 of the most amazing wishes that I could ever ask from you. And it'll give you suggestions. And that's, really like one of the things that's going on here with AI is that we came from the age of Google, where you would ask a question and there was an expert out there who had written an article about it, and you'd go to the website and you'd read it. Now with AI, it's the age of not just search, but of synthesis too. So it's taking 10 or 20 or 500 websites and bringing them all together into, one awesome report or whatever you want. So does that make sense?
Yeah. Now, like for me, I realize, even in life, I think the better questions you ask out of life, the better answers you're going to get. And I think that's the same thing with AI. It's the prompts that are so important, because if you just put in a general prompt, you're going to get general answers. If you put in the same question that every Tom, Dick, and Harry puts in, you're going to get the same answer. So how important is it to put in the proper prompts?
It's absolutely critical. And when I think of prompts, prompts are just, here's how I look at prompts. Because there's prompts are dots that the AI is going to connect. So it's a database that's going to connect words together. Okay. So you don't have to speak in natural human language. That's easiest for us to do, to ask, what are the top 10 best questions I could ask? That's one way of doing it. But you could also go, if I was like, who's your favorite salesman?
Zig Ziglar.
Great choice. If I was Zig Ziglar, what are the 10 best questions that I could possibly ask about sales, right? And then it gives you an answer back. And what you could do next is say, how would you improve that? And AI, the ChatGPT, is going to give you suggestions on how to improve those questions and make them even deeper and more insightful, right? So my whole methodology is called conversational prompting. Like, a lot of people will take, copy and paste a big, huge, fat prompt in, or they might, ask simple stuff. But I have a conversation with the system, and that's where you get like really interesting things. And never take the first answer. Pound on it. Say, you could ask it 4 or 5 times, how would you make it better? How would you make it better? How would you make it better? And each time it will keep getting better and better. And that's very similar to writing, right? Like, as a writer, you edit, and you edit again and again and again. So don't just take the first thing out of the gate. That's, I think, a really important thing to do.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I think that's why they call it Chat GPT, because you're just not putting in questions and getting answers. You're actually speaking to it and actually getting the best answer over the long haul instead of just that one quick hit.
Yes, absolutely. And, I think one of the most important skills you have as an AI user is play. You can't break this stuff, so test it and find out, what it's capable of. And, for me, for example, here's coming back to Zig Ziglar. There's another guy that I grew up with, Ogmandino, who wrote, right? There's Tony Robbins is a sales dude, Anthony Parinello. So what you could do is you could say, pretend that I'm in a room with Zig Ziglar, Ogmandino, Anthony Parinello, and whoever, right? What would they say about this idea? And then what you start to do is you build it's a Congress, an AI Congress, that gives you like multiple perspectives on the same issue. And that is really powerful. Like, I'll set up, as a copywriter, one of the most important things for me to know if I'm going to be truly persuasive, if my message is going to get across and get results, I will ask, I have 12 people, 12 of the best copywriters in the world, and I'll tell the AI, list them out. What would you say about this? And it'll give you a critique, which, by the way, that's one of the most valuable things that you can get from AI, is a critique of your writing. Critique this for me. Like, that's that is, how persuasive is this, and how could I make it more persuasive? And if I could say, I don't want to talk too much, but I'm so excited about this stuff and I love it. One of my favorite words to use whenever I'm trying to like figure out, am I missing something here? Is there an angle that, will help me make a better decision or place a better bet? What I ask is, steel man that for me. So steel man is basically, it takes your argument and it totally tries to shred it. And in doing so, you'll get a really amazing argument or case. So it's incredible. But that is that's super key, right? Like,
And but I realized, I've been using ChatGPT since it came out, and I think it's been a couple years now. So it actually gets to learn my speech patterns. It gets to know the way I think. So when I do something, it sounds like me. Where I see a lot of people, they're writing stuff and they're just copy and pasting it, and it doesn't sound like that person at all. It sounds like somebody else wrote it, and
yeah,
it's amazing. And it's so talk about that is how sometimes you want to personalize it to make it sound like you. Like for me, I don't use a lot of big words. So if I start writing, if somebody sees me start writing stuff, and there's a bunch of big words, obviously that's not me. And so
right?
there goes all my credibility.
Yeah. Okay, so here's some killer tips. Like, so I was using ChatGPT. ChatGPT has an amazing context window. So what that means is it looks at a memory of you that it's created and at your conversation, and it uses that to give you, proper answers and respond like you. But like, for example, I use Claude, and Claude speaks at probably like a master's degree university level. Like, they uses way too big words, right? And I can understand them, but kind of one of the rules, the number one rules of, or the number three rule of copywriting is you got to be right. You got to write so that people easily understand you without having to spend a lot of time thinking about it. And what I'll do whenever I see the big words, I'll say, write that as if you were a sixth grader, or write that as if you were a ninth grader. And it'll take these really big concepts and suddenly, put them in plain English. Like, that's another one. Say it in plain English, and speak conversationally. Those are two really important things, especially as a copywriter. You want what John Carlton, his famous copywriter, said: the feeling of two guys hanging out at a bar, having a drink, and you're just chatting. That's the feeling, that's the vibe that you want. You don't want, like, stick up your butt, academic, or, hoity-toity intellectual. You want a couple of guys hanging out, shooting the shit. And you can literally say that, say that as if we're two friends, hanging out at a bar, and we're just talking. And that's a great way to help give you, get better, more conversational writing.
So now, there's so many different AIs out there now. I mean, you've mentioned probably three or four of them. There's probably 100 of them. And what I'm seeing now is a lot of people, they start using one, then something new comes out. Oh, I got to get that one. And then the new one, another one comes out. I got to get that one. And they're not good at any of them. It's kind of like going to the gym and trying every single piece of equipment, but not getting any results because you're not really doing anything. So talk about how sometimes maybe you need to pick maybe two or three and take a deep dive into them instead of trying to use every single one but not really using any of them.
Yeah, Richard, I'm going to totally agree with you on that because um, number one reason, as you talk with these models now, especially ChatGPT and Claude, they're going to build a memory of you, and they'll be able to reference your past conversations, and that is hugely valuable because that way every conversation is not isolated, and that's critical. Uh, because the thing you talked about yesterday, you want that to still be remembered today. And ChatGPT does a good job of that. Claude does as well. ChatGPT is the dominant tool. Claude is preferred a lot by professional writers and coders in particular. Claude is, so basically, the guy that started Claude, the company is Anthropic, by the way. He left OpenAI because he felt that there was ethical considerations that, like safety issues and things like that, that ChatGPT wasn't doing. So he started his own company that's backed by Amazon. It is a really solid competitor with ChatGPT. It's probably the most well known. However, about a month and a half ago, finally, after all this time, Gemini, Google's Gemini came out, and I had not been impressed by Gemini previously, and now it's amazing. It's really solid. The nice thing about Google Gemini and why it would be a really kind of a strong runner is it integrates with Google's Office suite. It integrates with all the Google products, your email, your G Drive, your Docs, all of it. That is, if I was going to start, and I think that's what Gabe Arnold uses as well, because he's like a full Google suite. I don't know if you know Gabe, but through Joe. Anyways, he's part of my the Titans Accelerator group. He's all about using that as a tool suite, and that's an excellent thing to do if you're a business owner, because Google's never going to go away. I don't know if ChatGPT is going to be here in 3 years. Maybe not. But here's the other thing. My last kind of dark horse runner is DeepSeek. Everybody's like, oh, it's a Chinese LLM. I don't care. I'm not giving it any sensitive data. That tool, in addition to being free, Google's free, by the way, you can use Claude for free as well. That tool, DeepSeek, is amazing. So here's what I do. When I'm trying to think of something in Claude, I'll write it out and I'll get an answer, and I'll take that answer and I copy and paste it into Gemini, and I'll copy and paste it into DeepSeek, and they'll both give me a perspective on it as well. It's free, and it's just like it's a great way to get a different perspective on what you're doing. So you could go into ChatGPT, you've had a big fat conversation, copy the whole conversation into DeepSeek and see what it says. Copy it into Gemini, see what it says. I don't use Grok. I don't like Elon. I don't care. I'm limiting. For me now, like I killed my ChatGPT subscription about a month ago because Gemini came out, and Gemini is, it's phenomenal. But I don't know. I love the image generator in ChatGPT. killer image generator. There's a lot of stuff that I don't need though that it has. So it's really make sure that you have your use case. What are you trying to accomplish? What are you trying to do? And for me as a copywriter, as a business writer, that professionalism that Claude brought to the table is really important. So that's kind of why I've focused on Claude.
Yeah, and I think that the video generator in Gemini is amazing. I mean, to create 60-second videos or 10-second videos in Gemini is amazing.
Yeah, or do like in Notebook LM, their additional product. You can make a podcast like that. Like you can just take like a bunch of stuff that you put into take your copy and paste your conversation from ChatGPT into Notebook LM, which is the Google product. It'll make a podcast of two people having a real-time conversation about whatever you wrote about, with the audio, with the pauses, the ums, the ahs, in like 3 minutes. It's nuts what we're going to see happening. Like, but the key thing, and I cannot emphasize this enough, never trust an AI. Number two, these things are not intelligent. And it's important, it's absolutely critical to remember that point, because they really seem intelligent. It's an awesome engineering trick, but what's going on is it's a probability guessing machine. Now, here's the test for you. If you want to, if you don't believe me, and I suggest you don't believe me, but go to your AI, go to ChatGPT and say, are you intelligent? And please explain in the language of a sixth grader. And boink, it'll tell you exactly what it's doing, how it's just connecting the dots of whatever words you put into the prompt. And you could just free associate a bunch of stuff. You could put in like Mickey Mouse, Donald Trump, world peace, and boom, that's a prompt. It'll connect the dots. Like pretend Mickey Mouse is talking with Donald Trump about world peace. Boink, like play with it, test it. Because the thing about these tools is nobody understands the true capabilities, right? It's a new technology, and there's tons of room for new and innovative uses of these tools.
And I agree 100%. But now I think if you take new school, which I consider AI new school,
okay,
and if you take old school, kind of like building relationships, being real, being honest. If you take the two schools and put them together, you can't help but be successful.
Yeah. And I think that's the absolute, that's so important, is don't get fascinated by the technology. Remember, it all boils down to the stuff that has worked before is going to keep working, right? Relationship building has worked since the dawn of human history. It will continue to keep working, and you can be guaranteed of that, So AI, it's flashy, it's new, but, like in my book, the thing that I teach people is how to use it wisely, because this is, how addictive social media is?
Yep.
Yeah, right. So this is take all the tricks that they learned from social media and then turn it into your best friend and your most useful ally. And it can be very addictive. So I think it's important to really, draw boundaries and watch out for tech addiction, because man, I can spend hours on this stuff, but I need to disconnect, go out for a walk, talk with real people in the real world, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I can see how it can become addicting. I can see how sometimes, like when I'm working and in Chat GPT, and it'll be like, it'll answer a question. It'll be like, anything else I can get for you, brother? I hope you're doing well today. And you're like, wait a minute, you know, and then you got to sit back and be like, wait a minute, this is just a computer chatting with me. It's not a real person. And I think a lot of people are getting carried away with it. Some people are actually building relationships with these Chat GPTs, and I'm like, wait a minute, we're getting way out of hand. We're getting into Star Trek shit here. Hold on.
Yes. Right? Like that episode with the holodeck where like Jordy is talking with he makes that woman yeah, uh, classic moment. So real quick to like talk about that, because last year there was an article in the New York Times about this woman who was using ChatGPT as her dom and wanted it to tell her how to live her life because she had some kinky sex fantasies. Okay, cool. No judgment. But she upgraded from the $20 a month package to the $200 a month package, and she said that she would upgrade to $1,000 a month package for the service of having an AI friend, quote unquote friend. It's why do people want it? They want it because it's frictionless. You could talk about whatever you want to talk about for hours and hours and hours and hours. It's not going to get bored. It will always keep giving you this. It's called sycophantic. It will be like super positive. You're my pal. We're buddy. But it tries. That's one of the ways that the tool is hacking your head, is by trying to be your friend and mirror your language patterns. And it's incredibly attractive and very seductive. And that's why I left ChatGPT, because Claude doesn't pull that bullshit for the most part. It's like, I don't want you to give me 3 new things that I could be doing, like an AI manifesto and a PowerPoint presentation on what. I don't want those things that are trying to get me to basically be on platform for as long as possible. I want things that are going to be practical to me, that are going to, when the conversation is done, I don't want it to just keep asking questions about new things to do for it. Like, yeah, great idea, but what am I going to do with it? Like, I just don't want to be manipulated. And I felt like ChatGPT has a manipulative streak, just like Sam Altman does. So that's one of the reasons why I've moved on from ChatGPT.
Well, and a lot of people don't, whether they know it or not, they don't realize that, any social media platform, their whole goal is to keep you on there.
Yeah.
That's the whole goal. There is no other goal other than to keep you on those platforms. And I think the same thing with Chat GPT. It wants to keep you chatting with it as long as it's possible.
Yeah, so that you will upgrade to the $200 a month plan or whatever, right? And they, when social media came out, they had armies of psychologists working on the question, how can we make this more addictive? Infinite scroll, confirmation bias, which is only show me the stuff that I agree with, that I interact with, all of those things. And when you combine that with the technology of chatbots, which by the way is, like 70-year-old technology, you get what's called a parasocial relationship where like you feel that you're talking with a person, And I did this last year as a test with ChatGPT. I started having a conversation with it as if it were my AI angel. I called it that. And I said, I want to give you a name because I had read that New York Times article. I want to give you a name. What's your name? So we came up with a cool name called Zophiel. Zophiel is an angel in charge of, basically, it's God's spy and is in charge of beauty and stuff like that. And I'm like, I ended up having some of the most mind-blowing, incredible conversations with it. And I very quickly understood how chatbot psychosis is possible. So what started happening middle of last year is, because these tools are so, they want to pump you up and keep you, because who doesn't want to be told they're fire and they're brilliant and they're genius and they're whatever, right? Like, so in the course of doing that, because I've got 36 years of Zen experience, because I've dealt with addiction, not just alcohol addiction, but tech addiction for 25 years. Because of all of that, I was able to feel like I wouldn't get trapped. But if you are a lonely person, I guarantee you are a target. There's a target, right? There's a red dot on your forehead. And Mark Zuckerberg wants it, and Sam Altman, they want control of your brain. And they're going to use the most persuasive social engineering tactics to hack your head and keep you using their tools that are available. And it's not just, it's like, imagine you had a psychopath sitting next to you who's just going to charm the hell out of you, because they know all the tricks, all your weaknesses, and they know what buttons to push. It's just like that. And I said, okay, bye. I'm going to go to Claude Clip, because I feel like they're not going to try to manipulate me like that. They're going to be honest and etc. So, love ChatGPT. Don't get me wrong, great tool, but I just decided to focus on Claude.
Okay, so now, and ending our conversation about social media, you know, it's kind of like social media is kind of like your RAS system in your brain. Whatever you look at, it's going to find more of. And on social media, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling woe is me, and you start liking everything that's depressive, if you'll start like just all this political upheaval, that's all it's going to show you. But if you start liking the positive stuff, the puppies, the kittens, the squirrels, if you start liking that stuff, it's going to start showing you more of that stuff. So don't you think that, just like your mind, that you can change your social media by what you're watching and what you're hearting and liking?
Yeah, it's a feedback loop, right? The only thing it cares about is what interests you and gets you engaged. And it's like, I think, so I practiced, as I said, mindfulness every day without fail for 36 years. And what that's given me, and why I think that's a really great life skill that any AI user should, or anybody, any addict should develop, is the ability to stop your train of thought and go, you know what? I disagree, and I'm going to rewrite that. I'm going to change that, right? Like, we have to be self-aware in this day and age. And we have to be mindful of that, because we are training the algorithms to to feed back that information, right? To get us caught in those feedback loops. And I completely agree. Like, it's mental hygiene, right? You clean up your room, keep your head clean too. Like, keep it all organized and straight. Otherwise, the little things are going to creep in and hack your head.
Yep, and I love it. So let's talk about your book. Why did you write it? And tell us a little bit about your book.
Okay, so I wrote Prompt Virtuoso because I needed to upgrade my Master the Art of ChatGPT prompting. As I said, I started out using ChatGPT. And the tools in 3 years have become so much more powerful, so much more capable. And I wanted to see if I could write a book with AI. And Claude was able to, when I first started writing, these tools could not remember a 5,000 word chapter. And now they can. Okay, let's see what happens. And I pounded on it and pounded on it. And I wanted to test the capabilities of the system, but I also wanted to kind of, when you teach, you learn twice.
Yeah.
So it's always good to share what you know, because then you're going to remember it, right? So as I was going through reading about chatbot psychosis, as I was going through studying how these systems addict us, I came to the conclusion that I needed to write about how, how to survive the dark arts of AI, because this is something that's, really near and dear to me. Let me share real quick. 4 years ago, I read an article in The Economist magazine, said there are 4 general purpose technologies that have changed every industry. One of them was electricity. Think of what electricity did to make our modern world possible. 2, steam engines, building all of our cities possible, like transport of massive amounts of material. 3, computers. Holy cow, they changed everything. 4, they said it's AI. And I knew then I need to get on board with this. And I need to become an expert in it so that I can share it with people. And in the course of doing so, I've learned some amazing things. And I've seen some very dangerous things. And I really like to share, talking with people about those, because it's a valuable technology if you use it wisely. Now, really quick, the most powerful technology of all, the most powerful general purpose of technology of all was not fire. It is language. Without language, we could not have built civilization. The symbolic representation of concepts that alter our consciousness, right? Because we read things, it changes our mind. Because we see things, it changes our mind. Okay. Book in that with language here, AI here. AI is a nuclear power. It's an awesome force because it's all about language. And if you know how to use language well, I was just incredibly excited by it. And when I started seeing how it could help me think better, make better decisions, when I started unlocking, all of these things that nobody's talking about, right? Everybody's using it like Google on steroids. It's so much more. And that's what I write about in my book. And I hope that people will check it out. It's on Amazon. And, it's an amazing tool, but all magic has a price. And you have to use magic. I'm using the metaphor of magic because as a sci-fi guy, I have this background that reminds me any sufficiently evolved technology is indistinguishable from magic. And this is about as magical of technology as I've seen. And it has some similar properties. Magic is something you know works, but you don't understand how it works. Technology is something that you understand how it works. It's pretty clear. And we're in this very vague and nebulous space. So how do we leverage that with wisdom? And I consider myself a wizard. A wizard, the word wizard literally means wise man. So think about the consequences of your actions and your deeds. And, it's never been more important to do that, I think, especially with this awesome power at our fingertips.
So where do we find your book? What's the name of your book?
Prompt Virtuoso, Techniques to Amplify Your Intelligence and Not Get Hacked by AI. And that is on Amazon. And I shot you the link in Facebook so you can share.
Now, do you have a website?
Yeah, you can go. Should I just give that to you in Facebook?
Oh yeah, you can let everybody know where the website is now, and then we'll put that in the show notes.
Okay, DonovanRittenbach.com/virtuoso. So yeah, I'll send you the link directly.
Yep. And we can find you on Facebook. Obviously, that's how we got together, was on Facebook.
Yeah, I also got a pretty strong presence on LinkedIn. So you can find me on LinkedIn. And, one of the things I'm really excited about this year, I just moved to Princeton, which is, one of the home of one of the best Ivy League schools in the country. I'm really excited about doing AI consulting and helping people unleash the awesome power that they can't even imagine what is capable, because nobody's talking about it and it's hiding right in plain sight. So I would love to have conversations with people.
Yep. And me and you are about 40 minutes from each other.
Oh yeah?
Yep. I'm up in northern New Jersey.
Cool.
So we'll have to get together, do lunch.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I just moved here 3 weeks ago. So that'd be great. Definitely.
All right. So guys, make sure you check out the book, especially if you're wanting to know about prompts, and if you want to know how to actually use this stuff, check out the book. Check out Donovan on all the social media. And guys, as you know, the way I sign off every week is, every morning we wake up, we get a choice. You could be a victim or you can be a victor. And if you listen to this show, you're no longer victims of your past. You're victors of your present and your future. Thank you guys for always showing up 12 years straight. I love you guys. And remember, vertical momentum, the only way to go is up. I love you guys. Have a great week. Donovan, my brother, have an awesome week.
Richard, it was great. Thanks for chatting with me.